In episode 9 of One Punch Man, the world was invaded by the Dark Matter Thieves, a band of pirates that plundered the entire universe in search for an opponent who could match their leader, Lord Boros. In his journeys across space, Boros had recruited many powerful warriors, his 3 generals, the gatekeepers, to see if you're even strong enough to challenge the dominator of the universe himself. Thankfully, Saitama was there to face Boros, and we all know how that went. However, if Saitama was not around, the next line of defense is the number 2 rank hero, Tatsumaki. These two have been compared for years as One Punch Man's heavy hitters before the expansion of the God storyline and many new feats and characters, so the question remains. Could Tatsumaki have stopped Boros' invasion? Could she even get past his top soldiers? Or will the world fall under the control of dark matter? I do One Punch Man versus videos all the time, so if you guys are a fan of this type of content, make sure you subscribe. If you really like these videos, then you can join my membership program to donate to me directly to help me make better videos for your viewing pleasure. Boros' generals are 3 of the most powerful warriors in the universe that Boros met in his journeys. Melzagard has the ability of regeneration, possessing multiple consciences with each a crystal core. He will regenerate endlessly until each core is destroyed, almost like a video game boss. Even 4 S-Class heroes working together had some trouble wiping him out. He has the power to instantly swat the Sky King like a bug, a monster on par with Deep Sea King. Garyuganshoop is the strongest telekinetic in the universe, possessing advanced skills to erase the effects of friction on objects. This allows him to throw rocks at near the speed of light with his telekinetic shower of rubble. Glory Boss is, well, okay, he didn't actually do anything, but he and the other warriors are threat-level dragon monsters, powerful beings in their own right, let alone as a team. So, could they stop Tatsumaki? No, not at all. Despite all my gassing them up, the 3 generals of Boros haven't really done anything. Melzagard actually couldn't even put down Puri Puri Prisoner or Metal Bat in their base forms. I've already made an in-depth video on why I think Garo could beat these 3, but that's not even necessary here. Murata went on record to say that even if the 3 generals were working together, they would stand no chance against the Monster King Orochi even with prep time. Orochi gets a massive amp from fusing with Psychos, but full power Tatsumaki can still handle them pretty easily, safely putting Tatsumaki far above the 3 generals even at the same time. One might say that Garyuganshoop was stated to be the strongest telekinetic in the universe in the Hero Encyclopedia, but that same guide calls Tatsumaki the strongest Esper ever. Garyuganshoop might be the strongest in the whole universe, just not including Earth. Tatsumaki just might flick her fingers and erase the generals from existence. That would pique the interest of Lord Boros after seeing his powerful generals defeated with total ease, a feat he thought only he could accomplish. This is where things get interesting, as Boros and Tatsumaki have never fought a common opponent except for Saitama, which I'll go over later. Tatsumaki is strong for destroying everyone she fights, and Boros is strong for fighting Saitama and being the only guy to do even somewhat okay. They both exist in this nebulous tier below Saitama and the weird cosmic god avatars, but above everyone else. The first point of consideration is kind of my least favorite, but they're calculable feats of what they can actually do. You see this more in cross-verse matchups like Goku vs. Garo, in which we need to measure feats to compare characters if there's not a way to skill them against each other. Tatsumaki, when unrestricted, can easily crush Psychos Orochi, who themselves casually cut a huge continental disk off the planet. This feat has been calculated to requiring around 18 to 19 exatons of TNT, or equal to about 300 billion SAR nuclear bombs. The Monster King by himself has also moved a giant chunk of the Earth's core, which some have calculated as high as 49 zetatons of TNT, which is enough to destroy small planets. Now for Boros, there are 3 main interpretations of his power level. Interpretation A, Boros said he will wipe out the Earth's surface alongside Saitama. Interpretation B, in the anime, Boros said he can destroy the entire planet. And Interpretation C, the anime Blu-ray guidebook that says he can destroy stars. Now, Interpretation C can unfortunately be tossed aside on account of it being a mistranslation. The kanji used can refer to stars, but it could also just mean celestial bodies in general, such as planets. It doesn't inherently mean star, the English translator just took it as such. Between interpretation A and B, it depends on if you decide to be an ultra manga purist, or if you include the anime. Interpretation A, Boros wiping out the Earth's surface is actually not as impressive as you'd think. Just kind of life-wiping the world only requires about 650 petatons of TNT, or 30 times weaker than Sairochi's own attack. I know that sounds weird, that just slicing a disc off the planet versus destroying the entire surface. However, you need to keep in mind what's actually happening. Psycho Sairochi is literally carving into the planet's crust itself, while Boros is vaguely destroying the surface. He might not even just destroy the surface, maybe just wipe out humanity. We don't exactly know because he didn't exactly do it. Now you're probably saying, but wait professor, can't Boros destroy planets? And if you go by manga only, he probably can't. The Blu-ray guidebook is for the anime specifically, so the planet-busting statement in there doesn't apply. You might be saying Boros' entry in the Hero Encyclopedia says he will destroy the Earth, but the manga is still the source material and holds more value than a single guidebook statement. Atomic Samurai's guide entry says he can cut atoms in half, but later in the manga, Atomic Samurai says he can't even cut between cells, which are way larger than atoms. In this case, the manga overrules whatever is said in the guidebook, meaning Boros' surface destruction is way beneath what Tatsumaki is theoretically capable of. Interpretation B is that Boros actually can destroy planets. Season 1 of the anime was heavily worked on by One and Murata to make things as close to their vision as possible, and even wrote most of the extra materials like the audiobooks and the OVAs. In the anime, Boros says he will destroy the entire planet, and the anime Blu-ray guide repeats that he can destroy entire worlds as well. Maybe you can headcanon that One originally intended for Boros to be a surface wiper, but later wanted to make him stronger, so in the anime they had him be a planet buster, and why the manga and anime guidebooks also say he's a planet buster. The best feat Tatsumaki scales to is only small planet level, putting Boros above her, meaning, like I said, it depends on if you are a manga purist or open to anime scaling, which I personally am. Like I said, I don't like this method personally, but a discussion I had with a certain power scaling carbohydrate made me think I should include it at the very least. To be fair, if you think there's no way to connect Tatsumaki and Boros through power scaling, you kind of have to use calculations and feats like that. But you might be surprised that there are actually ways to compare Tatsumaki and Boros using only characters in the show. Some people don't know this, but there are a series of One Punch Man audiobooks, and one of them sees Tatsumaki interacting with Saitama. Tatsumaki gets scared by Saitama in a haunted house and uses her telekinesis to stop him, but this has no effect. Tatsumaki is so baffled that she immediately assumes he's a ghost and doesn't think it's possible for a physical life form to be completely immune to her powers. What makes this even more impressive is that this audiobook takes place when Saitama still has hair, meaning this is over a year and a half before Saitama even fights Boros and before he completely removed his limiter. Saitama gets stronger every day, meaning Boros fought a post-year and a half trained up Saitama than when he already surpassed Tatsumaki. Saitama considers Boros strong, even in his released form, and later says Boros is probably the strongest guy he's ever fought, whereas Tatsumaki barely showed up on his radar. The only way you could get Tatsumaki out of this would be by arguing she wasn't at full power, or that Saitama was holding back so much on Boros that he was weaker than himself from more than a year ago. I don't find this very likely, seeing as Tatsumaki literally just thought such a being could not exist, period. And why would Saitama think Boros is strong if he's weaker than somebody he barely noticed when he was way weaker? You might be saying that later in the manga, after Saitama gets a huge power-up, Tatsumaki fights him again and she's able to throw him around. However, once Saitama used more power, he was completely unfazed by her attacks and she couldn't even move him more than a few feet off the ground. Saitama was holding back to get Tatsumaki to move away from the city, then used more power to tire her out. Tatsumaki gets so tired just attacking Saitama, she passes out despite Saitama never hitting her once. The last piece of evidence for me personally is that many statements allude to Saitama's battle with Boros as a higher tier battle than what Tatsumaki is capable of. A description of Volume 7 has the narrator questioning what the fate of the Earth will be in this battle against an unparalleled enemy, the implication being that the fate of the Earth was on the line, even though Tatsumaki was standing right outside. Technically, you could interpret this as no matter who fought Boros, that the Earth was on the line. It doesn't automatically put him above Tatsumaki, however this isn't the only statement in this vein. The anime Blu-ray guide refers to Saitama and Boros battle as the strongest versus the strongest, and this sentiment is echoed in Murata's original idea when drawing the brawl. When describing the final showdown, Murata calls it a cosmic summit showdown, or a battle between the two most powerful beings in the entire universe. Once again, Tatsumaki is standing right outside as this all goes down, and she's not included as one of the strongest. Overall, if you are an extreme manga-only purist, it's actually pretty hard to argue for Boros. No anime, no guidebooks, and he's kind of left with very little. However, the numerous extra materials that expand on the manga all point to Boros standing a tier above the strongest Esper. Being indirectly called stronger than she is by narrators, being able to push a Saitama that already basically no-diffed her in the past, and when taken with the anime, the ability to outright destroy planets is not something Tatsumaki can claim just yet. Boros wins.